You know, if somebody says to me, what do you do? It's a hard question to answer.
You mean when you go through the little passport thing, you just don't put
exactly? I
put
musician, but I don't know what that means. You know, I don't know if that's really what I do.
Yeah, no, it is.
Would I put that on my tombstone? I don't know.
Mate, you've had two #1 albums. You can definitely put musician there. It's fine. We are here in Nashville, Tennessee to visit the one, the only Jack White.
Okay.
Jack, it is lovely to meet you.
It's nice to meet you.
Thank you for inviting us into your home.
Thank you very
I assume
much.
you live here as well. I don't know.
I do sleep here sometimes. Yeah.
Really?
You know.
That's what the couch is for. It all makes sense now. So, look, famously, you're a big fan of creating sort of invisible rules for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you refuse to ever play harmonica. Is
Yes.
that true?
That's true, yeah.
So even though you want to play harmonica,
Dying to.
you've prevented yourself from playing harmonica.
Yes. Why? I think there's a thing like, you know, say these, you know, Persian rugs, there's a certain style of leaving a stitch wrong, a bad stitch in each one of them, so that none of them can ever become perfect. So that's when it's perfect, is when it has disorder in one part of it. And that's a very beautiful thing when you think about creativity in those terms.
Yes, I was singing my house alone, and I was singing my baby.
Perfection sometimes in certain areas of art can be a detriment. And the mistakes to me that we make on stage that I'm pretty sure that a lot of times, you know, 80-90% of the audience doesn't even notice. But sometimes we would walk off stage like, oh, I blew it. I played the wrong chord in a section. And to me, it's like, that does not matter. They're all opportunities to me. I mean, those are beautiful opportunities. Whereas for a set you're doing by the book and you have the lasers and the pyro happens right at the chorus, to make that mistake would be, you know, deadly. But to what we're doing, playing live, I think those are beautiful things, and they could change the whole way we swerve into a song, and now everyone in the room's in a whole new thing that we never knew was going to happen 10 seconds ago.
When you play live, do you still play without a set list?
Correct, yeah. I think it should be a dangerous thing, a live show. I think it should be sort of unpredictable for the people on stage and for the people watching. It's strange. I find it sort of as I'm walking to the stage that you sort of get a vibe, a frequency from the crowd, and sort of says, oh, this feels like this crowd is in the key of A, you know.
Is it literally the key of A, or are you?
I have no idea. I should take a meter with me, maybe. So that's what I'm trying to take to the stage and say, okay, let's start this song in A and see what that works.
I see. What I want to know is how you manage to communicate that to the rest of the band. Like, do you just look at them and they know that nod means we're going to Hotel You, or they know that
nobody knows what we're going to do next, because I don't know what we're going to do next. And the hardest part is doing the quick change, to hurry up and figure out what the next thing is without too much dead air.
How important is it for you to be able to see the faces of the people that you're playing to? Like, is there something that you get back from that? Because you go do live performances in here. You were saying earlier you pack about 300 people in there, and it strikes me that the value of that is you can see people's faces. You can see how they're vibing.
You can really breathe the same air and really feel it. The festivals where they're like 100 feet away, and there's all that security, and it's very hard to connect. Like I don't really know what's going on out there.
You never find the key.
Yeah, not really. I'm doing more guesswork as to, well, I guess this should be the next song. I don't know. You know, you go in these waves of like, wait, now I built it up to this. Okay, now trying to break it down into an acoustic, quiet thing. There's a nice thing to be able to play with the idea of exhausting an audience, just to exhaust the hell out of them and ourselves. And then take a deep breath and play something soft and let everyone regroup and then hit them again.
What melancholy magic has turned a multitude into mush?
How do you feel the exhaustion? Can you get that vibe off them?
A comparison I use a lot is like if you played a common room at a senior citizen's home, you know. If I was to sit in there,
which I assume you do all the time,
often, and I you know, maybe you play some songs from the 40s or something, and then you could see them being interested, smiles on their face, singing along, and then you play something a little bit different, and they're like, you know, it's like little children and senior citizens don't lie.
Yeah,
They tell you exactly how they feel, and it's written on their face. This kid does not like these carrots, and this lady does not like my version of You Belong to Me. And that is it. So you feel that, and you think, okay, now it's time to go into something mode.
Jack White does the strangest focus testing of anybody in the music business, is what I just learned then.
The comment cards are what really hurt my feelings.
And the feeling coming from my bones says find a home.
I guess the very famous story is Seven Nation Army was the song you tried to write without a chorus, which
Correct,
worked out
yeah.
great.
Yeah, that one worked out.
But so, do your rules change over time?
Always, it changes for every certain scenario that I'm in. You know, but they don't. The rules aren't applied to what type of music I'm going to work on. I never say I'm going to write a country album or a soul album or a hip hop album. I say this is the scenario we're working in. We're going to work in this room for 3 days, and here's the people that are going to be there. Let's see what happens. That's what I like to do.
This is something dreamer, my baby lion beamer.
I mean, most methodology out there is let's go to the most expensive studio, record it on Pro Tools, and get as many writers and producers involved that are amazing at this and it, and let's hurry up and try to make some hits. That's usually the methodology of most mainstream music nowadays. So I am always excited to hear about anybody who's using some kind of methodology to get them into an uncomfortable position so that they do something totally different and what will actually take me to a place where I would never be before, something very uncomfortable. That's interesting for me.
Thank you very much. And I also believe personally that you let the music tell you what to do. You don't tell the music what to do. It's not an ego trip. You're not in control. You sit there and you set up a scenario and the music tells you what your actions should be.
Walk with me, Susie Lee, through the park and by the tree. We will rest upon the
To me, it's like these things are coming out. You don't know where they're coming from, why they're happening. If you get in the way and start telling it what to do, you're kind of doing it a disservice. It's better to just get out of the way and let them happen.
So trace that back for me. When did you first work out that was the way you liked to create? That was what was going to work for you?
In prison,
Man, we're getting some exclusives tonight.
a lot of people don't know that I was on Devil's Island for several years. And that was after they closed down the prison too. I was there on my own.
You're just a
of my own
squatter
free
at that
will.
point, aren't
Yes.
you?
Basically just squatting on Devil's Island. Made my own butterfly tattoo on my chest out of rare inks I found.
The infection's only just healed.
Yeah, it's just coming around. I don't take my shirt off anymore.
Disappointing for us all.
Jolene, 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 Jolene.
For me, early on as a teenager, I liked the idea of what not to do. I'd like to watch footage of tons of bands. I would say, oh, I'd love to see a documentary about a hair metal band and say, okay, never do that, never do that. But that one thing they did, that was something to that.
Please don't take him just because you can.
When you do go back and listen to old work, are you the sort of person that wants to, you listen to something, you want to redo it, and you're like, that doesn't sound quite right? Or have you got a degree of zen about stuff that you've done in the past where that represents me at a certain point in my life and now I've moved on?
Oh man, that's a good question. I find that the things that I definitely went with my gut, I'm usually, it's kind of good for life. It becomes a time capsule. Like that's what sounded good to me at that moment in 1999. And the ones I worked really hard on, worked on for weeks and tried to perfect them, those are the ones where I kind of feel like, I should have just left that be a lot more raw and a lot more instantaneous. That would have carried a deeper, a heavier message.
What have I done? I have pushed away everyone.
When you were 14, you wanted to enter the seminary. Fast forwarding all this time and all the stuff that you've done, what, if any, role does faith have in your life?
I sort of feel like religion is sort of a bad word for me. It sort of gets in the way of being in touch with what God really is. I mean, to me, God, I think, as I grow older, I'm starting to feel just an idea that maybe God is on a molecular level, on a quantum level.
We're connected by love. Yes, I know.
There's scientific sort of research where, you can shout at molecules and it affects them. That might be God. They might have mislabeled that.
I love it. I'm not going to tell the mega church down the road that you said that.
Yeah. That would be great on their sign when you're driving by.
Yeah. This is going to be one of those new Jack White quotes that you're going to end up having to explain in interviews
Oh,
forever.
yeah, exactly. No, the headline would be Jack White hates God.
Jack White hates God.
That's what you do when you're the editor. Yeah.
See, now that you've actually used the words in front of the camera, Jack
Yeah, it's
White
done. They're
hates...
going to check that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got me.
Jack White, thank you so much
Thank
for taking
you.
the time to do
Really
this.
nice to talk to you.
Really nice to
Appreciate
talk to you.